Formula One.
Formula One. Back to Formula.
There's no penises in the attic. No.
L'Incredible.
Mission incroyable. Pregnant by the cult, but
Happy ending.
She seems happy.
It's not looking great for me, guys.
You're killing us out here. Hello and welcome to The Film Angle, a podcast where we dive deep into the latest releases and unearth the classics to better our cinephilic curiosity. I'm Kris.
And I'm Alex.
Alex, are you ready to get into it?
I am ready to get into it. And Kris, are you ready that it is our 150th episode today?
Yay! Woo! Applause for us.
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday. It feels for me like it is 150 and it doesn't at the same time. It's really weird. Like it feels like we've been doing this for a long time, but like I still can't believe we just got here. It feels like we just skipped to 150 all of a sudden.
Yeah. And I think like the way that ever since we had like the rebooted element, like the new logo and the new music, and now we're into video, like I feel like the last 50 episodes have probably been our most kind of like, we're doing this.
Yeah, it's been a little bit more you know.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit more, you know, less I got a tummy ache today. I'm imitating myself right now. I've got a bad tummy. I need to like lay down. Oh, sorry, Alex. I'll reschedule tomorrow. And you're like, fuck's sake, not again. So no, I'm trying to be a little bit better this year.
I wasn't always like that. I just think you've been less ill this year, Kris. I think you're fine. You're fine.
I think I've been eating better things this year. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, It's not like the show can always go on. We are just reviewing films and having a nice time. It doesn't have to be a stressful thing. I know I probably make it so in your life sometimes, but
no, not at all. It's just like, you know, the people will be banging on my door if I don't give them an episode. And
they will be. And the people is me.
And your mum?
Yeah, Mum's a big fan. Mum's a big fan.
Shout out all the mums out there.
Shout out all the mums. So, talking of the mums have said, what's going on?
What a segue.
All of our mums have said, what's going on with the box office draft? Have you heard that?
Yeah, how is Mission Impossible Final Reckoning doing on the box office draft, guys?
Yeah, so we
Karate Kid Legends.
This was one of our kind of like new experimental episodes at the start of the year. We said, let's do a box office draft like we've seen some other people do, like have a bit of a, you know, gamify the box office stuff. We're not big money people when it comes to films. Like we're not too fussed about box office. Like the films that we like, we obviously would like them to make money, and the films that we want to see more of, we obviously want them to make enough money to make sequels. But apart from that, the ins and outs of finance doesn't matter much. But we thought we'd gamify that element because there is a segment of film watching people out there who are big box office people, and
sure
it is what it is. So we decided if you want to go back to...
Way to psych people up for
yeah,
this
you're right. Maybe we're not psyching people up for it. Well, basically, we did a box office draft, all right? You can go back to the start of the year, find out what our picks were, even though we're going to tell you what they all are here now as well. So I thought...
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm going to preface this as well because we did this very, like I said, at the beginning of the year, and we kind of did it studio by studio and did it off of their upcoming, you know, Wikipedia, what's coming up in the year, which for some of these studios was really, really limited, and is not reflective of 75% of the other movies that kind of came out the rest of the year. So, you know, our hearts aren't set on, you know, like, there's a SpongeBob movie on here, you know, and I didn't pick it because I was like, yes, I want that before we even get into this thing. Our hands were tied in some of these, okay? So please be forgiving.
We went studio by studio. We picked a film each. We couldn't pick the same film, but basically the idea was we want to make the most money by the end of the year with our full pick of films. We also then had a sabotage pick where we both had to pick a film for each other that had a £100 million budget and that we hoped wouldn't make that much money, as to therefore not add too much to the amount of each other's
A sabotage.
A sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
Sabotage pick. So I thought we're over 6 months through we're 9 months into the year, okay? I thought we should probably jump in and see. Some of these films have released, not all of them have, but maybe we'll go studio by studio and see who's in the lead at the moment, okay?
Sure.
Is that all right with you?
It's okay. It's okay with me.
I've made a little spreadsheet for us, okay? Not that everybody else can see that, but I can see it, all right? So
And I can see
if
it
we
too.
start with Universal, I picked Wicked for Good, which, as we know, is not out yet. And Chris, you picked Jurassic World Rebirth, which is doing very well at the box office. So in terms of the studio films, you're winning because I've made $0 so far. And you've made...
I mean, I reckon by Christmas, though, Wicked has got to be better, right?
It's going to be strong. Do you think... I don't know what the last one did, but I don't know if it'll be as strong as Jurassic World Rebirth,
It just seems like a crime that something so mediocre that comes out would do better than a film that seems to be, like, quite universally loved by, the general populace. So,
well,
yeah, it's interesting.
The first one's worldwide for Wicked was 756 million, and Jurassic World Rebirth at the moment is 855 million. So we got to hope that the sequel to Wicked does better than the original, which, to be fair, it probably has brought more fans into the world. So it definitely could, I would say. And then you got like the double, probably like people going to see both, seeing them multiple times.
It doesn't help us here, but in the long run, like, more people are going to be buying Wicked on physical media. More people are going to be rewatching or renting that than Jurassic World Rebirth. They'll watch it for the first time and they'll be like, no, that's enough. That's fine.
Yeah. And I don't think either of us have seen Jurassic World, right?
No. But I can.
I
have a firm grasp on the reality of what that would be. That scenario.
Do you think that's one that, like, when you come up to Bristol, we should watch together? Like, like we should all sit down.
We always save the dumb fucking movie that we don't want to watch by ourselves for when we're together. We watched Five Nights at Freddy's together. It was terrible. It was a terrible experience. We'll probably do it for the sequel that comes out later this year.
Yeah, we probably will. So was that a yes or a no on Jurassic World Rebirth when you're up next?
Of course it's a yes.
Okay, brilliant.
Anything for you.
But you should be happy, Chris. You picked that one. It's going strong, okay? The next studio on the list is Disney. I went for Lilo and Stitch, and you went for Avatar Fire and Ash, which is your kind of, you're hoping for the end of this. That's going to be the big boy. Whether it'll make as much as the other Avatar films, I guess we'll find out. But, I mean, there's not a lot of marketing at this point, is there? That one trailer and... That's it.
Yeah, they kind of did that last time, though, didn't they? Like, drop a trailer, like, a year before, or, like, just under a year, and then go full marketing in the last 2 months, really. But yeah, I mean, like, Way of Water was obviously a big success, but like, and it has been too long in a way, because I don't feel like people were talking, like, everybody in work or everybody in your school would have seen the first one, and everybody was talking. Even my aunties who like never saw like a movie in the cinema ever were like, have you seen Avatar yet? When I was a kid. So like I didn't have the same excitement for the second one, did it? But it still made a lot of money. It's a franchise everybody knows, so yeah. I'm hopeful.
So at the moment you're losing the Disney round because it's not out yet, but I've made 1,033 million
straight into your pocket,
and then there's more numbers on top of that. But yeah, the big one is obviously 1 billion for Lilo and Stitch. So a box office.
It's just a money printing machine, isn't it?
100%. Just on Disney Plus now. I might actually go and watch it. So far. I don't think any of us have seen any of these films. Or have you seen Lilo and Stitch?
No, I have not actually. No.
Didn't get around to it. Okay, Warner Brothers. I went for F1, and you went for Superman. Now, F1 was a bit of a gamble. For me, but I had this idea that it was going to do well, and it's done pretty well. It's not made a billion. But it's 613 million. And Superman just slightly trailing behind on 611 million on the worldwide box office. So there you go.
Very neck and neck.
Very neck and neck.
I'm so surprised that Superman is pretty much tied with F1. We would have thought that Superman would have kind of, I don't know, trumped it in a way. But F1 is one of those movies, it's kind of like, not to pigeonhole it, but it has got notorious sort of dad audience when it kind of comes to these sort of movies, and they're kind of late bloomers at going to the cinema notoriously.
Mm.
So this movie's kind of had legs, just like it's hanging in there, it's staying in the multiplexes. So that's probably a big reason. It's kind of a slow burn.
Yeah.
And
It's
that works sometimes.
interesting as well. They're so close to each other, but obviously the stories behind each is kind of like F1 is like a smash hit, and Superman is kind of like it's just doing enough to justify more DCU films. It's interesting how that kind of gets mixed around.
Yeah, if you released this film, Superman, 10 years ago, like it would have made a lot more money, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's made as much as Man of Steel did.
Crazy.
Yeah, so there you go. It's a different world we live in. But yeah, I really want to see F1. I'm really excited. Like, I really wanted to see it in the cinema, just couldn't. Like, I think dates and what we were doing at the time. Yeah,
I know I'd love it. You just sit in the cinema for 2.5 hours and you're just like, I know I'm not going to have to think too hard. I'm just going to enjoy this story, tried and tested formula. Formula? There you go.
Formula.
Formula One.
Formula One. Back to Formula.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm going to pretend that didn't happen. F1, no, I'm excited to see it. So far we've only seen Superman.
Yeah. Okay. Sony, that's the next studio. Now, both these films have come out 28 years later, and Karate Kid Legends. Like, not smaller films from Sony this year. So, in what we see in returns is 100 what am I looking at here? 150 million for 28 years later and 114 million for Karate Kid. There you go. So I'm winning with 28 and you're losing with that, but like, I don't know. There's not much in it. I don't know what else to say about these films. I'm glad. I consider 28 years. I imagine most people consider 28 years a success, despite it having a lot lower than the other films we've been talking about. But it is a much smaller film.
You know, for a horror movie, yeah,
100%. Paramount, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning for me, SpongeBob movie Search for SquarePants for you.
It was only because you'd already picked the Final Reckoning.
Yeah, there was.
And I was left.
It was slim pickings for Paramount. All their eggs were in Mission Impossible, which is doing 598 million, which I think they think is pretty good, like pretty standard for a Mission Impossible film. They might have wanted a bit more. I don't know. I'm not them. So yeah,
True.
that's where we are with Paramount. And then who had the best sabotage pick? Because both of these films have come out. You sabotaged me with Snow White, and I sabotaged you with Mickey 17. Snow White did 205 million at the box office and has like completely killed Disney's idea of rebooting live action films, or rebooting animated films into live action. And Mickey 17 was not, I guess, Bong Joon-ho's finest money-making machine, but like I don't think he cares. Like, it's still an interesting film. So 133 million for Mickey 17 there.
So right, we come to the end of the table.
We
now.
have.
I'm wondering, before you read out the totals so far, you're obviously winning.
Yes,
but I wonder if we had changed the exercise around and subtracted the budgets from these earnings, I wonder if these results would be different.
That's very interesting. I do know that some box office drafts do that. They only go off of profit.
Yeah, because if you think
but
about
then
it,
I'm
Final
not.
Reckoning.
It's true. I mean, I'm not an insider. That's the thing. I don't know all the budgets. Whereas a lot of these other box office drafts have a little bit more where they're like, it was probably this for the budget plus this for marketing, so the actual profit is this. Like, you're right. Did Mission Impossible make that much back? Maybe not.
I heard that
Superman?
movie cost about 500 million to make.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, we think of COVID, all the reshoots, all that sort of stuff that happened.
Not even
was a little
combined, like with
Oh, I think for the one production.
Ooh, bloody hell.
Crazy.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Maybe I should do a separate thing.
No, I don't want to detract from your victory.
I have one film to go. I'm on 2,601,000,000. You have two films yet to release, one of them being Avatar and Fire and Ash, and you're on 1,714,000,000. So you're about 900 million behind me.
This could be a neck and neck race come the end. Could be.
You've got to hope Fire and Ash does really well. I think that's it.
What is your your last one?
Wicked for Good, which is going to be pretty strong. It's going to be a strong one.
Ooh, no, I got no chance. I got no chance. I reckon like Wicked for Good is gonna. It's probably not gonna make as much as the first one, but I think it's probably gonna be like a 600 to 700, right? It's gonna be in that ballpark. Avatar will be lucky to get to 1.1.
Didn't the last one do 2 billion?
In the time frame that we're
Well, it
talking about?
depends. Like if like, all right, so you've got what, Christmas, and then we'll probably do our box office roundup like mid to late January.
Alex is making sure. I reckon we do the roundup at 1st of January, just to kind of
yeah. And then I guess we'll decide if we've had fun, we'll do it again. If not, then this was a 2025 thing,
or we'll change the parameters.
Yeah. Does that work?
But
you happy with that?
It's not looking great for me, Alex.
It's not looking great for me, guys.
I was going to keep that little personal joke subtle between us, but now you had to make it explicit.
I think you mentioned the Rizzler like 5 times on the last show.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we've...
Actually, Alex, that's not the Rizzler we're impersonating there.
No, it's not.
It's Big Justice.
Big Justice, yes. It's Big Justice.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think we've revealed our love for the... ironic love for the Costco guys on the podcast.
Oh, there's no irony. No irony. Pure love.
Love AJ and Big Justice. Shout out AJ and Big Justice. If you want to come on the show sometime, please let us know.
Okay. Right.
Just leaving it there.
just a cool ending there.
Please stop. Please stop.
Oh, that.
You're like, no. Big Doom. So sorry.
You're killing us out here.
All right. Okay. So that's the box office draft. Shall we go into our main review of the episode?
Sure. Let's do it.
So our main film of the week this week is Ari Aster's new film, Eddington, though it may not be new to everyone because it released in the States bloody ages ago, right?
Yeah, it feels like it screened a long time ago too. Like we had the full critical reception, everybody had their say on it, and I had to kind of we reminded each other almost that this film was released and that, nobody in my workspace has talked about this movie. I told them I wanted to see it over the weekend, and they're all like, "What? I never heard of this. I don't know what Eddington is."
I think the issue probably is that Ari Aster is very much kind of like, I want to say like an artsy film director now. Like I know he's like mainstream indie to us, but to anybody else, he's probably operating in that space. He might have, with Hereditary and Midsommar, he might have been like the horror director for that moment, but I think Beau Was Afraid completely changed our idea of who Ari Aster was, right?
Yeah.
And maybe the film community as well. And I think if Eddington isn't a horror film, which it isn't, well, maybe some could argue it is.
Yeah, you could argue. Yeah.
Some could argue it is, but it's not mainstream horror in the way that Hereditary and Midsommar kind of played with. And I love Midsommar. I think honestly one of my favorite films of the last 10 years. Like I think it's fantastic, and probably one of my favorite horror films of the last 10 years. But like Beau Was Afraid was a little mix on, and now we've got Eddington, which screened at Cannes, didn't do too well at Cannes, and so kind of and A24 aren't good at releasing, US films at the same time as UK films, so you just kind of have this bit of a
stagger.
I don't know. Bit of a, you're like, it's all like, I already thought I knew what to expect before it came to the cinema. That being said, I think it exceeded those expectations. I kind of had relatively low expectations going in. But we're also talking about a film set in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic, very much dealing with the pandemic. That is like this small town western, a mayoral race between Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. Spontaneous mayoral race.
Yes. And it's very long. It's nearly 3 hours. It's quite a long film, and you're touching on a touchy subject. So, yeah, there's the context, I guess, going into this.
Yeah, I you know what? So, obviously, from the outset, this film has divided audiences, right? Both critics and general audiences. Which makes sense given its focus on COVID, TikTok algorithms, Black Lives Matter movement, big tech, AI companies that, the list kind of goes on and on. so like the town of Eddington, which is a small New Mexico community, sort of serves as like a microcosm for everything happening in
Mm-hmm.
2020, which is just like everything, it wasn't just COVID, but you always forget like how much peripheral stuff was going on at the same time. And
Mm.
the ensemble cast includes, disorganized local activists, right-leaning townspeople, cult leaders, Antifa groups.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it is on paper, it's a lot, but I think Aster manages to keep this coherent, like weaving all these elements into the narrative without it ever feeling entirely overwhelming. Like this is just over 2.5 hours. I could have had another half an hour of this thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think it is coherent as a narrative. I don't always think it's like fully coherent in what, like, I'm not 100% sure what Ari Aster wants to say about kind of the pandemic and
I've got this
what's going on
idea that
there.
he's a filmmaker that doesn't want to fall into the trap of wanting to tell his audience what they have to think. I think he likes to kind of throw the spanner in and just see what you kind of come out with. That was my
100%.
overwhelming feeling coming out of this.
No, I completely get that. Though I do feel like there are just elements of this film, and I think it's probably more at the start with the different ways that people kind of reacting to the new rules set out by the
Yeah.
coronavirus. And I think there's an element of this film that wants to prod the bear, wants to be a little bit combative, and maybe kind of like make you feel uneasy, which I think it did in many times. And I kind of had a very like weird up and down relationship, I think, with the film throughout. There were moments where I was like, I love this. This is great. And then there were moments where I was like, I hate this. I don't
Oh
know
wow.
what he's trying to say. I don't know if he's intentionally trying to irritate me or if I just find his kind of like on the fence kind of views a little bit, like,
Mm.
are
So
they
you sort of
intentionally
sound.
provoking or?
Are you saying that you find this to be like a centrist point of view? This
I
film?
think there was an element of me that wasn't sure if Ari Aster wanted to be like, well, there's good on both sides and there's evil on both sides, and it's like, I don't know if I'm ready for
Mm.
that discussion. Like I find that too boring at this stage
Well,
in time.
that's the provocation in the story,
Yes.
isn't it? That is, I don't think anybody watching this comes out without a scratch or two.
Yes.
Um, and I don't mind being confronted in that way. We all recognize elements of our own behavior in this sort of kaleidoscopic film that has exaggerated versions of everybody that interacted with the ongoing events of that year. Um, should we take it from the top?
Yeah, we can take it from the top. We can take it from the top.
Because it's so easy to fall into the trap of this movie because there's so much to talk about. Like you can end up going down the rabbit holes too quickly, and yeah,
It's true. It's true. Like I'm talking about it as like this overall thing,
yeah.
but there's so many elements to it. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for it.
So at the center of the story is Joaquin Phoenix, as Sheriff Joe Cross. He lives with his wife and her mother. What a wonderful, blissful life that is. And he reacts impulsively to most of what happens around him. So over time, he becomes increasingly absorbed in misinformation and algorithmically reinforced echo chambers. We haven't seen that before, which drives him down a destructive path. So early on, Joe is sort of like an awkward guy, sometimes unintentionally humorous. I would
Hmm.
say a lot of the times unintentionally humorous. I think like Joaquin Phoenix made me laugh a lot in this movie.
This was one of my favorite performances from him for a long time, and I appreciate he's still doing the like kind of sad little man act that a
Yeah,
lot of his characters kind of
I
fall
thought
into.
I thought I was sick of it, but it turns out I wasn't.
But yeah, this is the one that kind of really worked for me.
Yeah.
In a way that I just feel like, yeah, I was fully on board with his shtick this time, whereas in other films I'm not always 100% with him.
Hmm.
But yeah, he there's an innocence about him and the way he's wrapped up in things, and I think the film also wants you to think that there is kind of his views on the mask wearing and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of like, oh, I don't want to wear a mask and I don't have to, but from him there's kind of like this almost frustration that it comes from a place of common sense. And I think early on in the film you're meant to side with him a little bit more, maybe
Well, it's the
on
whole thing that I know better sort of thing.
the I know better, and the virtue signaling that comes from like the left hand side within Eddington. that kind of plays out. But yeah, shall we carry on?
Yeah, so he's very reactive. But his decisions escalate in ways that have serious consequences. So Phoenix sort of portrays him in that way that keeps the audience connected to his perspective without excusing his actions. I think showing how ordinary people can become complicit in harm when their perception of reality is sort of distorted. So, and I think the film does that pretty gradually. I think, I was watching it with Lauren, and we were kind of like, it was interesting. We both came out the same perspective afterwards. We were like, up until a certain Katy Perry moment of this film, he was sort of a sympathetic gray character.
Yeah.
Um, he has his wife played kind of like a cameo role almost by Emma
Yeah,
Stone. Yeah.
surprisingly, a few actors in this I feel very shortchanged.
I don't know the shortchanged. I don't know that's just like, yeah, I think it's more. Yeah, anyone could have played them. It didn't have to be big stars, I suppose.
Yeah, and I'm mainly talking Emma Stone, Austin Butler. I just think
Yeah,
I think
of
both of
course.
them, their talents were like not like they were obviously good in these roles. They do nothing wrong, but I'm just like they weren't interesting, and they're rarely on screen.
Yeah, they probably just were like, I want to be in an Ari Aster movie. It could have been
Yeah.
like the thing where like a bunch of guys showed up in Django Unchained. We want to make a Quentin Tarantino movie. I don't care if I have to play Baghead number 3.
It's true.
It could be that sort of thing. But yeah, you're right. They didn't have to be them.
Yep.
But so he's got this home life with of his wife. She's been battling periods of depression. She's kind of semi bedridden, but she makes these very unusual dolls at home that she's been making since she was 10 years old. And this is the humanity within Joe. The sheriff is, he's asking her how her day went, and I sold 2 dolls today, and he's like, oh, that's fine. And then we learn later on that he's been actually buying them. He's been getting the sheriff's office to be purchasing them for their computer, which is like, it's hard to kind of fight against the humanity in there. That makes you, it's something simple like that can really anchor a character and really confuse you when you're following the
Yes.
journey, I guess. Yeah.
It continues that theme of Joaquin Phoenix being like equal points sweet and equal points completely sad at the same time.
Well, that's the thing. He's not an inherently evil person, but he is a very stupid one.
Yes. I know. It's so confusing. Yeah. It's such a it's such a confusing film in the way it treats everybody, and I think that is the point.
Yeah, and on the other side of the coin, who I thought was going to be a bigger part of the movie if marketing teaches you anything, but
well, shall we before we say?
Yeah.
Shall we just say this is the spoiler section of the?
Oh, okay.
This is the spoiler section. Spoiler warning.
Spoiler. There's a mayor.
There's a mayor. All right. Spoilers for Eddington from here on out.
So on the other side of the coin, you got Pedro Pascal. He plays the mayor. He is presented as a progressive and focused on helping the town economically. He works to bring in big tech partnerships and modernize, the local systems going on. But unlike Joe, his approach is constructive and forward-looking rather than reactive or destructive. But there's flaws in it too, because the town is potentially, yeah, you're working with a big tech company, which is creates it's like it's the Magikarp company, so it's like that's a real thing. They were like an AI company that kind of that creates kind of AWOL wildcard AI content to kind of.
They were a real thing, were they? I didn't know that.
I think so.
Wow.
So. Which is funny because I just think Magikarp and I think of Pokemon, but yeah.
Yes, so did I.
Yeah, maybe that's the point. But yeah, it presents him as somebody who, his point of view also will strip Eddington, a small town, New Mexico town, of its sort of like its kitschy identity too, which is something that completely like Joe is kind of fundamentally scared of, and he represents the sort of people who are scared of losing that sort of small town, deep south, identity. So yeah, I mean, the contrast between the two central figures highlights, sort of different ways individuals navigate the pressures on their town. So this is kind of the two opposing forces in the film, and then it's just everything just kind of gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and it does become, it's not for me like a left versus right, and I think it's easy to see it as a centrist sort of POV that Aster is taking,
I definitely fall into that trap. I fell into that trap, should I say, a few times in the film where I was like, what are you trying to do here? And I think that's where I like got frustrated, but then there were just elements of the film that were so great that it brought me back, and I was like, I'm so confused. Do I like this film or not?
I think it's hard because I think when you're identifying with like the only black character in our story, Michael, he works in the deputy's office. He's kind of like it becomes like a tokenized member of the deputy's office that kind of like serves in Joe's favor as the movie kind of goes on. He kind of uses it as part of his political campaign to give him a promotion, and yeah, so it's all to help his image, but the left wing characters are kind of presented, for instance, as mostly teenagers experiencing like
Yes.
their first political awareness, and and even Joe recognizes the legitimacy of certain protests, like those after the George Floyd's murder. But the focus is not on the ideology itself, but on how ordinary people respond when large scale social and technological pressures collide with their everyday lives. So, and it's also looking at the performative nature of like, young people, kind of detached from the reality of the situation. It's a town where only one black man lives there, and seemingly from what the movie shows us anyway, and it's interesting to have a lens because the whole world kind of reacted to this way, where we were all protesting or we were all kind of getting involved and showing our support for BLM, and that's why it's kind of confronting. Is that it's kind of presented in this lens that yes, our hearts are in the right place, but Aster's maybe challenging: is this the right way to go around it?
Mm.
Which is an interesting thing. He's like, I think he's a left wing. I think he is left wing, and I think he sympathizes with the left way more than the right. But I
Yes,
don't think he's
yes.
happy with the way it was all went around. I think he wants to, what I'm trying to say is like it doesn't look great
No, not.
when you're 16 and you probably don't even know anybody of a different race and you're kind of protesting your thoughts and opinions. I think that's kind of the big thing.
Yes, and I think maybe the centrist tendencies like are not helpful in our current day. I find this kind of like, whoa, let's all let's take a step back. It's like, no, we are heading into some deep doo doo right now, and I think maybe there was an element of maybe I just wasn't ready. Like maybe we're not ready as a society to unpack the last 5 years, because I still think we're living in the aftermath
Hmm.
of it all. And even like not even just the last 5 years, but the last 10 years were so divided as a society. And I don't think this film does anything to try and bring us closer. If anything, it's pointing out again how further we've gone, how far back we are. I think
He's a cynical filmmaker for sure.
it's very cynical, and it points out some pretty honest truths about how we're all living in this digital world that is so far away from our actual like day-to-day lives in the towns and the cities that we live in, and how that affects us and how it affects our kind of outlook and all that kind of stuff. I just think like I think it's just difficult. I think we're in a very difficult time period right now that I'm not sure we can unpack fully the last
It's interesting.
5 years. I know like if you told me a western with a set in the pandemic, like that sounds amazing on paper. And this is making me sound like I dislike the film. I actually really like the film. I think it is a really good film for the most part. I just think it tries to take these political stances, or at least tries to be like an observant fly on the wall at times. And those elements don't always work for me, or at least maybe I, as an audience member, am not ready for that. I don't know.
It is interesting. I do feel like it is incredibly confronting, and it is, we're only 5 years removed from it, and it does feel like it just happened, which
It
it did.
feels so long ago, but at the same time, it feels so incredibly close.
Yeah,
Like the last 5 years were a blur. The whole of the pandemic, when we were living it, felt like the longest fucking thing in the world. And
well,
yet,
yeah,
now that we're removed from it, it feels like this blurry patch.
yeah, I don't feel like it's got any better. I think it's gotten worse, especially when it comes to social media, and I think phones and the Instagrams, as on the what was that Joaquin Phoenix says, you got to put this on your little Instagram. Yeah, so those sort of platforms, and he falls into it too. You start to see him scrolling, and it's his most darkest opinions and sort of conspiracies being mirrored back to him. We talk about echo chambers. That is, when you pick a lane and you commit to the lane. And that is the same thing in real life. It happens to him, and the same thing happens on your phone. When you pick a lane, you're only going to get that opinion reverberated to you for the next several years at a heightened, more incremental level, and you're
Yes.
going to, and that content, which is only going to solidify your opinions, rightly or wrongly. Doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
don't know what way you fall, if you're right wing, left wing, or whatever.
Yeah, you're
You're gonna
only being pandered to.
you're only being pandered to, and you're going to really struggle to think to if you're rightly or wrongly to break out of that cycle and expand your mind somewhere else. So that was a real thing that really, I think, Aster really articulated really well in this film. I think that he kind of, that really run true for me, because we're all guilty of it, right? We're all guilty of it, and I like to think that my values and my moral code is helpful to me and helpful to other people around me, but how can you tell once you're in a self-destructive pattern if 10 million people online are having the same opinion of you as you, and the propaganda wheel is spinning constantly and constantly? Well,
Hmm.
then, how are you supposed to know you're wrong? You only think that you're right and you're just.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true, and I think like the biggest kind of eye-opening element for me there was probably like with Brexit. Like I was so convinced we were going to remain in the EU. Everything was telling me we were. I didn't know anybody who was going to vote leave. Everything on Twitter was telling me that we were going to remain, and then obviously the outcome was different to that. And then realizing like this whole time I've been in this echo chamber, and I think that I have the same view as everybody else, and
Mm,
clearly not. Now, obviously, very split down the middle there, but like that was a bit of a wake up call. And then shortly following that was the Trump and Hillary election, and
mm,
probably went through the same cycle again. And then as we get further down the line, here we are,
yeah.
we're more divided than ever, and
Yes.
it's so difficult to come it's so difficult to come to a meeting, some kind
Mm,
of understanding between two sides, because we're both being peddled with kind of like they're wrong, you're right. There's no in between, there's no grey, and there isn't always either, though many might say that I am I'm still in that echo chamber. I probably am. I am still angry about things. But yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
well,
But
I
I'm just saying
I get it completely.
maybe it was almost too revealing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's great that we're having these sort of conversations, and I
Yeah.
think I think the film is singular. I do think it is singular, and I think it is original, and I think it has a unique, maybe not perspective. Maybe there's not enough perspective in this film, but there's enough. There's enough of a glance that is different from anything we've seen in the last few years, and I really appreciate the sheer bravery for Ari Aster to even tackle a subject matter like this, because
Mm.
it could be like, as a filmmaker, it could be sort of suicidal to your own career, to make a project like this that is so, everybody has an opinion on it, every single person,
And I
and
think that's maybe.
yeah,
Sorry.
no, I'm just to
I was going to
tackle.
say I think that's probably why we haven't seen it do as critically well as his previous films. I know I Was Afraid was divisive, but for the fact that it was taking more of a kind of abstract look at a world and was very out there in terms of things. I was surprised how accessible this film was. I thought this was going to be Beau Was Afraid.
There's no penises in the attic, no.
No, there are penises. There are penises,
Yes, and
but not in the
again,
attic.
it's for a giggle as well.
Yes, it's for a giggle. It's interesting though. It is almost like a film with two halves, isn't it? As soon as Joaquin Phoenix, spoilers, I know we're in the spoiler section, but I
Ever
still
since
feel like I
Katy
need to-
Perry's firework comes
Yes.
on.
As soon as he assassinates Pedro Pascal, which I think is almost that kind of realization point of like, all right, he clearly wasn't being set up as a kind of like voice of reason or if he was, then he's been fully manipulated by his views and the fact that he's not getting anywhere politically. He decides he has to take drastic action to the point of assassinating his rival, and maybe that is something to say about, the extremes that the right will take. But then ultimately we also get this Antifa group, though, Antifa aren't actually a real group of
they arrive in their private jet in this.
Yes.
Look, the shot of of going through the cockpit of the plane is like Killmonger's entrance in Black Panther.
It's really interesting. Like, you almost forget about them, don't you? They have a few like scenes in there, kind of getting to Eddington, ready to start this weird mini war. It's such a left turn. The whole kind of like end of the film, you're like, what is happening? This is not what I was expecting to see at all. It probably is less accessible in the second half, but it is a lot of fun. It was riveting. It was
riveting.
Yeah.
And I think Joaquin Phoenix, like, no matter what, like, every movie you see him in, he's like a different build. But because he's like being so, he's so like deliberate and puts his teeth into everything, he's always being like a really super physical performer. Like, there's something like Buster Keaton about the way he just like ragdolls around this hill in this chase sequence at the end, where he's, and it reminded me of like Her, where he does this amazing trip and he does this tumble, and he's always being really like literally throws himself into it. And Aster's like quite focused and quite still with his photography. It is a Western for like a lot of this film, and like,
it's not a flashy film, is it? I was thinking that like we probably
I think it's quite a beautiful looking movie.
I think it's a good-looking film, but it's not. I don't think it's nearly as flashy as, say, like Midsommar or Hereditary. Like, I think we very much would talk about the cinematography of those films more so than here. Would you say? Like, I don't think there's no showing off from Ari Aster in terms of how he portrays this story.
No, but I think
it's well done.
I'm glad about that, because I think if you kind of threw in a little bit more flair, it would have made the whole message. I think it would have been the cockiness that would have came through in the filmmaking. I think he knew to kind of just like hold it back and just let the drama kind of play out. There are his flourishes, and it does kind of pick up towards the end of the film and he's very good at shooting action scenes. For somebody who doesn't really do it often in his films, but he manages to pick up the filmmaking when it needs to, and I feel like there is restraint for a movie that's otherwise quite big and everywhere.
The shootout is crazy at the end
with the minigun. Yeah.
It goes very Tarantino in a way that I just wasn't expecting, and I guess I went into this film expecting one thing and then was like, oh, this is more interesting than I thought it was going to be, more accessible than I thought it was going to be. And then it takes some shocking twists. You're like, okay, this film is once again not what I thought it was going to be.
Well, and you also think as well, like, you don't know where Aster as a filmmaker kind of sides with Joe whenever he's sort of like an anti-vaxxer, he's anti-masks, and then at the end he gets a COVID test sent back to him through an email. We never see what is inside that message, but we do see him having a near flipping asthma attack when he's getting chased, and it was stressing me out watching him. Like, Joaquin Phoenix knows how to put on a good fake asthma attack.
It's true.
The scene where Pedro Pascal gets is that where we're in spoilers? I forgot. I'm like, are we in there? Yeah, we are.
We spoke about his death. Yes.
Yeah, when he gets assassinated, like, it was shocking. Like, I kind of made me jump out of my seat. And
and then his son as well. It was like, is devastating as well. It's kind of like, oof.
Yeah. I wasn't as sad about the son. No, it makes me heartless.
I mean, not last week, but I think like the week before, we were talking about Pedro Pascal being in everything. I think I saw this film pretty much the day after or the day before I saw Materialists.
Yeah.
So he literally was in everything that I was watching at that time.
How much is he in Materialists? Because I feel like I'm seeing him a lot. I'm seeing him a lot, right? And everybody's saying it, and we're all bored of saying, oh, we all recognize it. But he's always playing like he's in a film a little bit. Yeah. He's always in a film a little bit. He's never like the main thing.
Yeah. That does seem to be a bit of a theme in the things he's in this year. Is like, apart from maybe Fantastic Four, but even then he's part of an ensemble. But like,
I'm going to show up for a week to shoot, and like, yeah.
I don't mind seeing him. I'm just going to check it out.
I liked him here. I quite him.
He's a good actor.
Him chastising his teenage son. I was like, yeah, you tell him.
Yeah. I think he's really good. I like him here.
Yeah.
He's good in Materialists. He probably has a slightly bigger role in Materialists.
He's very good at playing characters who are kind of have a moral code, but and are underhanded. Some
Mm,
injustice happens to them. I'm even going back to the Game of Thrones days where he's playing a guy you like, and he's like, oh well, he's not gonna get out of this, okay? He's good at playing people who are just like he's got no chance, and I don't know why he does that quite well, like impending doom,
mm, yes,
as opposed to stretchy intellectuals.
yes. I'm trying to think if that applies to Materialists. I'm not. I guess maybe there is an element of that. Maybe there is.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil. I'm just trying. I'm trying to see if I can apply that logic there as well to see if it follows through throughout all his characters, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But yeah, no. I mean, yeah, I don't mind. Anyway, with Pedro Pascal, he's everywhere. We love him. It's all good. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's fine, guys. Chill out.
Okay. More things to say about Eddington.
The ending, maybe, like, do you have thoughts? Like, what are we trying to say?
Well,
Does it end on a bit of a whimper, or is it just kind of like a tragedy
yeah,
for everyone?
it is kind of like everybody. Like this is the way the film is sympathetic. I think everybody's a victim. Everybody's a victim to, like we said, the echo chambers and the confusion that confines us every day. And some people react to it better, due to like their own upbringing or whatever they're being exposed to, and some people just absolutely go screaming and just kind of freak out and start killing people. And I think the final shot of the movie, the credits, which I really loved, the last shot of the omnipresent data center magic carp, whatever it's called, solid gold magic carp. That's what it's called.
There you go.
It's so that serves as like a central visual and thematic motif in the film. So that represents like the technological environment shaping every character's sort of reality, but each character constructs like a version of reality based on what they see online. So, Joe believes that he's fighting a well-funded Antifa army. His wife thinks that she must battle like a secret cabal, and the town overall is caught in a feedback loop of misinformation. We've been there, but the exaggeration mirrors the real world influence of screens and algorithms. So highlighting, I do feel like at the end it's the big tech company that wins. So at the final shot of the movie, it's like, well, no matter what anything happened in this movie, that thing was still getting built. And and capitalism and money talks, and regardless of what your moral code is, and we're seeing it with other things going on in the world right now, as long as money's behind it, well, we can push anything under a rug. And yeah, so as I stared at the screen as a beautiful piece of music was cast over the glaring neon lights of the Magic Carp building, that's kind of what kind of stuck with me. But yeah, it was confusing how to feel about Joe. I felt sad, but I also wanted to laugh at him, and I think that's kind of where I'm at with the character.
It's never nice to see somebody knifed in the head.
No.
It was pretty horrible, actually.
No, yeah, it was pretty horrible. I mean, did he have to do that?
Yeah, I know, it felt horrible, so horrible.
I mean, it feels like a bit of a risk too. I mean, like it's a 30% chance that thing's gonna, penetrate. Could have done it anyway.
I don't think in those terms, Chris.
Oh yeah, well, I practice on melons.
Oh god. Okay, let's end this one. So interesting that we haven't mentioned Austin Butler nearly at all.
He comes in. He's like the cult guy. He's playing a cool weirdo. It's kind of like a roll your eye character intentionally for like 30 seconds. It is what it is.
I mean, I don't want to obviously, start reviewing Caught Stealing, but I know you saw Caught Stealing like 2 days ago. Yeah. Is he good there? Because I feel like I like Austin Butler, but he's not like star power to me yet. But then again, I feel like I've only seen him lead one film, and then I've just seen him like pop up in other things.
Yeah, I mean, like segue for 10 seconds. I won't go fully into Caught Stealing. I didn't love the movie at all. I didn't really like it. But that's Aronofsky for me. I feel the script is super weak, and I don't think that helps Butler. I think Butler gives it his good college try, and Jesus Christ, is he good to look at on screen? I mean, he looks like a movie star. We saw in The Bike Riders, he's incredible, and we know he can do bad. We know he can do like a scumbag because we saw Dune Part 2, and he was awesome in it. But for some reason in this movie, he's playing a dirtbag, grungy '90s dirtbag, but he can't get the good boy, the nice boy energy off of him. He's still like, I still like this guy's a nice guy. You know what I mean? There's
You
something
can tell deep down.
yeah, you can tell deep down. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what you think of that movie. It just did not work for me at all. Like,
But back to Eddington, he does nothing. He's got nothing to do here, has he?
yeah, he's just like spiritual, unlock my memories sort of guy. With really bad AI generated looking pamphlets or poor posters. And
Yes.
all that stuff that comes along with it. They nail that. They nail how those posters they actually look like that. But I mean, guess the only character that gets a good happy ending out of this potentially is Emma Stone's character. When she goes away now for herself anyway.
For her, yeah.
I don't like. It's like an 80% good ending. You know what I mean?
Pregnant by the cult.
Pregnant by the cult, but
happy ending.
She seems happy.
Okay.
Oh, cults! Yeah. Like they never end badly, do they?
No, they never end badly at all. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, it's an interesting film. A lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I kind of went into it.
I expected to be pandered to.
Yeah, so did I. So did I. And it wasn't that. It was confronting. It was still combative. Yeah. It gave everybody a good run for their money, for sure. And I, like I said, was this too soon? Is it too confronting at times? Maybe. But for the most part, I did enjoy this film.
This will be very interesting to revisit in like 15 years' time or something.
Yes.
I'd be so intrigued to see how it holds up. I think I could do it a favor.
Yeah, I think that is a fair point. I think that's a fair point completely.
Well, I think anybody listening, definitely check out Eddington if you want to. If you want to be confronted, if you want to revisit the worst years of our lives, then go see it.
This is the section of the show where we catch up with our ongoing series, our Blindspots on the Sight and Sound Greatest Film of All Time list. We are now in the top 10, so we're doing every film on the top 10, bar 2001, because we did do that in an earlier episode. You can go seek that out. You can go seek that out. So today, we are on, what number is this one? It is number 7, Beau Travail? Beau Travail? However the French say it. Be ready for us to butcher a lot of French names here, guys. I didn't even do a GCSE in French.
I did a GCSE. I got a B in my French.
Well done.
Yeah, but like I got like what was it? It was like I got like a C in my reading, but I got an A in my speaking. So I just and the speaking. Anyone who's done GCSE French or any language will know that the speaking element is basically a memory test. It's basically an acting performance. I didn't know what half the words coming out of my mouth for some of the time. So there's always that. You don't have
There's always that. There's that. So like because I was living in Germany and I was doing German, and then there was a moment in secondary school where I could decide whether I wanted to do German and French or a language and drama. And obviously I'm in Germany, so I'm like, well, I'm going to continue doing German so I can, when I go outside, I can figure out what's happening. I did German and drama. Then when I moved back to the UK, that wasn't like a normal choice for the school I was in. So it was kind of a case of, well, you're too kind of far gone from French now. You might as well just stick to German and we'll just do more German lessons when you should be doing French lessons. So yeah.
Do you admire the French language more? Would you have liked to have done that?
I think there is an element now, especially like obviously being into film and a massive part of cinema.
It's also a beautiful language, isn't it? Yeah.
And it is a beautiful language. Yes, I wish I knew more French, and I probably could try and force myself to learn a little bit. If we ever do go to the Cannes Film Festival, like we have spoken that we'd love to do one day, I will be shitting myself that I won't know basic French, and the French will be rude to me because they can be. All right.
I think you'll be. Yeah, they're notorious, but I think they're mostly in. They are. I don't want to start getting into getting into the stereotype of a UK citizen shitting on French people. I'm sure they do it back. It's fine.
We're now going to talk about the differences between France and England. God, what are we doing?
It's
but
not.
yes,
I think it's not too bad if you want to learn little phrases. It's not a hard language because like it is very similar to English, and we use a lot of like French, evocations and words in our daily lives anyway. So I think wait, fuck.
Oui.
Like, I mean, we's not very similar to yes. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, if you said a we to a baby, it'd be like, wait, what are you talking about?
But obviously, we love a lot of French cinema, so
Yeah.
I just wish I knew a bit more. But it'd be cool to watch a French film without the subtitles one day, wouldn't it?
Oh, incredible! The Incredibles. We can watch The Incredibles in French.
Le Incredible.
Mission Incroyable.
Okay. Back to
it's a line from the movie.
Talking of, all right, back to French cinema. Beau Travail, directed by Claire Denis, our first Claire Denis film on the list. Do you have a history of like with Claire Denis films? I checked out the letterbox. I'm very aware of Claire Denis, but I've only seen High Life, which is one of her more recent films. From
I was going to say the same thing. I've only seen High Life. Loved High Life.
Did we watch that together?
No, we watched it separately, but we were both like excited for it.
Maybe I watched that with
it was a big movie film, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went to the cinema to see that. I must have seen it with like Ben and Danny, I reckon, from the Cineboys. I feel like I saw it with somebody.
Yeah, very very horny movie.
Yes. Wow, it's French.
Yes.
To go back into stereotypes.
There's that sequence in there, or the black hole sequence with Mia Goth where she gets like squished is horrible. I remember I remember that stuck with me.
I remember a rocking horse.
Of course you did. I you know what I didn't. I repressed that memory, but now it's back. You Austin Butlered me.
Sorry about that. Okay, back to Beau Travail. I feel like I was always aware of Beau Travail.
The poster is so famous, right?
Yes, I was about to say the poster more than the film. It's such an iconic looking, topless man, face in shadow. It's probably on our YouTube thumbnail right now.
Gorgeous blue sky. Yeah.
Yeah, the blue sky won't be in the thumbnail because obviously, we've got to use our own. Yeah, we've got to use our own colors here. But there you go. Beautiful poster. So yeah, I was very excited to see this. It is about a part of the French army military. Called the Foreign Legion, which is basically where people who aren't French can sign up for the French military, and if they do several years worth of time within the French military, within the Foreign Legion, they can apply for French citizenship. A lot of people, it used to be very much a thing that it would attract some not so nice people, some kind of criminals. Apparently that's not the case anymore. Apparently it's a very vetted part of the military, but they were known to be quite a tough part of the French military, I guess. Okay. It was a big honor, I think, to be part of the Foreign Legion.
Like a refuge for non-desirables. Sometimes.
Yes. Not anymore.
Of course.
Maybe even that element of it has been romanticized. I don't know. But we find them here. They are in a part of Africa that I cannot pronounce.
Djibouti?
There you go.
Which is like right on the Horn of Africa.
Thank you for taking one for the team there.
It's okay.
A previous French colony, I guess, like the French occupied a lot of Africa at one point, and the film plays out, this idea that they are just kind of this forgotten legion in a forgotten part of Africa where they're kind of training for what seemingly feels like nothing. They're just in this space that they occupy.
It feels like a team got stranded on a Mars or something like that,
Yeah.
on a different planet, and they're just being like, well, all we got to do, I guess all we can do is do what we know.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Lots of training, lots of bodies moving. It's
Hmm.
very sensual. It's like I know a lot of people have spoken about. I guess it's easy to compare it to like dance and choreography because the final scenes of the film are so kind of dance forward. But like
Mhm.
I felt a lot of the training felt like dance as well. I thought that was very interesting. And you are kind of just like following these characters. You're starting to get a sense of a few of them, and then all of a sudden you're starting to realize there's this jealousy between our narrator, played by Denis Lavant, who plays Galou.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
I,
gonna
I
go
think
for
that's
that.
as good as it's going to get.
And Gregory Collin, or Gregoire Collin,
Hmm.
who plays Santan,
Yeah.
and that jealousy kind of crescendos into this almost like a macho man off, where Gallo uses his seniority to send him on this. He punishes him essentially, sends him off into the desert, makes him find his way back, but has messed with his compass, therefore almost condemning him to death.
Mhm.
In which the main commander, Commander Bruno Forestier, finds out and
Court martials him.
court
Yep.
martials him, and we Gallo this is his whole life, and we're left wondering at the end whether that might be the end of Gallo, whether he lays there and with a gun on his chest, and I can't remember the exact final lines, but it's like live this way, die this way, or something like that.
Which is tattooed on his chest. Yeah.
Yes, though, does he say it? I thought he said it, or was that just the subtitles?
I think he might be his final words. Well,
Yes,
implied,
implied.
potentially.
Did you know there is a bit of a connection here, Chris? So Michael Subor, or Michel Subor, I'm really sorry, French listeners, if there are any, for butchering everybody's name here. Commander Bruno Forestier, our main commander, he played that same character in Jean-Luc Godard's Le Petit Soldat.
Wow. Okay.
So Claire Denis sees this as a spiritual sequel to Godard's film Le
So
Petit Soldat.
a continuation of that character. Wow.
Yes, apparently it's even alluded to the fact that I think there is some part in the narration that says at one point there were these rumors that he had done something bad, or his reputation had been tarnished, and at the end of Le Petit Soldat he does run away, I believe. So I think it's alluding to that potentially being the same thing. But yeah, same name, same everything. So
Wow.
there you
Cool.
go.
I did not know that.
Jean-Luc Strikes Again. He's probably the name that comes up the most in this Sight and Sound list.
I know.
if
His
he's
spies.
yeah, if he's not having his own films in the list, he's being referred to. He's cameoing, or we've got spiritual sequels to his films.
Well, we talked about a film that on our other segment the other week, which was riffing on him. That wasn't anything to do with the BFI lists. So, yeah, I'm thinking the Michael Cera one. Yeah, you can revolt.
Yes, of course. Well, yeah, because we thought it could it was Breathless, wasn't it? We thought it could riff off of some of Breathless. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
and we've got the new Linklater film coming out, all about the making of Breathless, coming out later this year.
Godard fans are eating well.
I know. Godard by Linklater. I reckon Godard would hate that though, right?
Don't know. I mean,
Do you think he's
one
like
of
an
those
American filmmaker making a behind-the-scenes fictional account of his greatest film?
he is the thing is with him. He is Mr. He is ego. He is ego. He is the French ego. But so much so that he doesn't even want the praise. He would just it goes above that. Where he's like, no, I would not want an American filmmaker to make that about me. It needs to be. Bergman needs to be resurrected and do it for me or something.
Yeah, he's like, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And it'll be in reverse.
It's
I'll
Liam Neeson. I'll do it myself.
Anyway, we should stop probably talking about Godard when we're talking about Claire Denis right now.
Mm.
So interesting film. very much one of those films you kind of have to settle into. It's not playing it out to you. It's not long, so it's not like a difficult watch in terms of length, despite, I guess, pacing being somewhere on the slower side. But I did find myself maybe not in the mood to watch it. So when I put it on and I had it on my projector, because I really wanted to envelop myself in it, and sometimes when I check it on the projector, just being in a dark room is the best way for that to happen to me. But it was midweek for me, and I was just
It's hard.
I
It is hard.
didn't fully get into it, despite everything that I was seeing on the screen and everything that was being processed to me. I was like, this is good, objectively good. Like, this is good. I can't deny that, but I'm not emotionally there right now. And that was my experience with the film, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, it is a very quiet film,
Mm.
and I would describe this one as a creeper because the first 10 minutes it is like you're spending time trying to get on its wavelength, discovering that like okay, there's a non-linearity to well, there is a linearity, but it's loose and it's not plot driven film. It's completely narrated, so there's not really well, there's like 3% of the dialogue is probably in real time in this film. So it is and there's 5 minute sections where there's no talking at all. It's just the sound
Mm.
of you have orchestral operatic score coming in
Mm.
every often, some pop music which is
Yeah.
really stylish and like kind of juxtaposed with everything that's going on. Um, but yeah, it's I, I'm gonna say no. I really love this film. I really I think, and I think it's an even better second watch whenever that does inevitably happen because its emotional core is such an open wound once it hits home. Once it like it blossoms itself to be what it is and what you kind of recognize it to be. Um, and then retroactively, it's like one of those movies you think back on, it becomes more potent as you dwell. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. It's a movie about rivalry, isn't it? It's
Mm.
Levant's character and Sintan. They have this obviously has been written about for the last 2 decades. It's not overt, but there's this homoerotic undercurrent to the film. It feels like Satan shows up into the Legion, the newest member, and suddenly Levant's forced to look at himself in a way he doesn't want to. And that's why he pushes back so hard. He's not just defending his authority, he's also dealing with this inner tension, which is kind of revealed to us pretty late into the film.
Yeah.
And it's that hyper masculine heteronormative military space, those feelings twist into internalized homophobia, which can then comes out as anger and disgust, aimed at I think aimed at Sintan. But I think there's but so by the time that we get to I don't want to. Oh, you just want to talk about the final scene already, don't you?
Yeah, no, we
Um,
can do it. We can do it.
so
Do it.
the time you get to this film kind of breaks the fourth wall at the end, and we get a final dance scene, and it almost plays, and it is such it's a release for our character who, up until that point, potentially unsympathetic. So like he's finally breaking free from all the constraints that have been choking him. I think it's implied that after the decision he made to basically send Sintan to his death, getting kicked out of the Legion, he's got nothing kind of left to live for. I mean, he knows nothing else. I mean, the final thing he does in this film is iron his bed before he lays on it with a gun on his chest. And maybe he doesn't, but I think there's a pretty hefty implication there until we get to a dream sequence of him dancing, and I think Levant, before he was an actor, he was like a very famous professional French dancer.
Oh, was
Um,
he? Interesting.
yeah, I mean, which he's got for an older guy in this group, his physicality is almost like he almost has the most elite, like physique out of everybody in this movie. He's very like you can tell that he's sort of like a French Gene Kelly in that sort of sense. So you can tell when you watch the dance at the end, but it completely reassessed the film for me in that moment. When something just like everything was beautiful and everything kind of like it kind of yeah, I get what this is. And then it's like that moment that hits you at the end where you're just like, oh my god, I know what this is now. And it's the thing that at the end of Always Sunny in Philadelphia that everybody likes to meme all the time, where Danny DeVito is watching McConaughey just dance on stage. But yeah, it's good, and I like ballet. This movie, like you said, you mentioned dance, and we talk about dance. Every workout scene, every swimming scene under the ocean, or obstacle course. And it's like with this orchestral score, it is like you're watching a ballet. Everybody looks like a
Mm,
ballet dancer in this.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's not about a lot, but like in the year 2000, could you imagine seeing this in the screen and kind of you know potentially one of the best shot movies on this list as well. The colors. I'm gonna confess, I watched this I'm probably the first person in the world, Alex, who watched Beau Travail on my Steam Deck.
Whoa.
I
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I watched this in bed on my Steam Deck, which has a beautiful OLED screen, so the colors were popping. But I just felt like, what would Claire Denis think? um,
Yeah. What would you think?
it still worked very well, but yeah, beautiful movie. The colors, like the reds, the blues, the green uniforms. It was almost like a
Mm.
technical. I think this was all shot in 35 mil, but it's just a beautiful movie to look at. Yeah, I think this is like a grower, right? I think this is like I
Yes.
will come back to this and I'll be like, yeah, like I get it.
Yeah. I think despite the fact that I wasn't in it at the time, like I said, I could still see the greatness. And you're right about that future second watch, I think is going to hit differently. And yeah, you're right, the final scene as well. It's difficult to not jump straight to the end because it does put everything else in perspective. And it is such a cathartic release. And I think Denis Levant is such a unique looking person, and like you say, the physicality is there, and that kind of release of this it feels almost erratic dance moves at the end is such a just like
Yeah.
a like it's so cathartic. It's a great moment. It's a good film. It's a good film. I just I think it's one of those films that you have to surrender yourself to, and I just couldn't fully get in the mood, and it's difficult because if we weren't doing it this way, I probably wouldn't have put the film on that night. You know what I mean? If we weren't
Mm,
like, we're trying to get this list done, we're trying to do the podcast.
yeah,
And I
you're
guess that's
obligated.
maybe like one of the, yeah, you're obligated. It's probably one of the, like, there's not a lot of downsides to the podcast, Chris, just so you know. But like, one of the downsides is this obligation that we need to watch something, and we both need to watch the same thing in order to like actually have something to talk about. And obviously, we've set ourselves up with this list. But yeah, I'm trying to find time to watch Beau Travail. I know what kind of film it's probably going to be, so I need to get myself in this headspace. And despite trying to do everything I could to get there, I just couldn't get there in the end.
It's a scary experience because you're so aware that a lot of your favorite people in the film industry have put this in the top 10 list of films of
Yeah,
all time. When you're making a
pressure.
film podcast, like it's sort of like our thing. So like when you're saying something's in the top 10 and you haven't seen it, well, like it feels like you have to prepare for like a wedding or something like that. It's like I need to be in the right frame of mind because if this experience doesn't go too well for me and I'm not in the right frame of mind, well, I might be put off from ever rewatching or reevaluating it again because I associated it with a
Mm.
difficult experience. And we all, you know, yeah, we're obligated, but there's weeks where we get ill. There's weeks where work's a little bit tougher, our main jobs are a little bit tougher, and you just want to come home and you want to watch like I don't know, like The Traitors or something. You don't want to watch Beau Travail as much as that would be a transcendent experience in the right
Mhm.
setting.
Mhm.
It is a challenge, and no one can blame you for that. It was the reason why I didn't watch it midweek because I was going to, and I was like, I just don't. I'm not feeling this. I don't feel like I'm gonna bring. I know in myself in the moment when I'm not going to be ready to reach the level that it wants me to reach. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I did find the right moment just about to engage with it. But yeah, I reckon, man, the second time you watch this, it might and you know what you're getting into. I think it will unlock something for you.
I agree. I can almost guarantee that will probably be the case. And I also would love to see this in the cinema. And I know like every now and then it pops up in like different art cinemas and
For
stuff like that.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I think, I think that would be a fun one to watch at the Watershed one day.
Well, yeah, I might just turn up.
Do it. Do it. Let's do it. Brilliant.
Anyway, it's a hard recommend for me,
Uh-huh.
I recognize I think every shot in this is just like I was just watching this and I was so aware of the photography and just like it was just so every angle that felt really inspired. There was such unconventional camera placing that evoked meaning and contemplation, and I don't feel like there's this is an all-female, basically, head
Mm-hmm.
production team. This is, we have a female cinematographer as well as Denis being behind the camera. And it's interesting that it's a movie about the male gaze, because, when it's an all-female camera team behind it, maybe that's the female gaze bleeding into the film too, which makes it so good at that sort of thing.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a fascinating film, and I would, it needs to be seen, and I'm glad I found the moment, and yeah, like you said, big screen experience will be the next time. I think that's
Yeah.
the right way to do it.
Well, I'm glad you were able to get that from it. I'm glad you were able to get the right moment. And I think you did the right thing of
Watching on my Steam Deck?
Maybe not on the Steam Deck, but watching it at the weekend. Maybe that was the right thing. I wasn't sure if I was going to have time this weekend. Turns out I probably could have, because we ended up playing Helldivers one morning, didn't we?
We did, which meant, as like, there is a point where it's like, I cannot play Helldivers 2 and not sing Beau Travail. That would make me the biggest asshole in the world. So no, I mean, we managed to find time for both, and I'm happy. And Helldivers with you, Alex, I know it's only just started, only came on Xbox. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun future life Helldiving together.
Brilliant.
Anybody who listening to the show who knows what Helldivers is will know.
That's great. Well,
All right.
I'm looking forward to our next film, which I have seen, In the Mood for Love. I know that you have had a Wong Kar-wai box set sitting on your shelf, ready for this moment to watch In the Mood for Love.
Yes.
And you've been saving it because of the podcast, I believe? Because you knew it was coming up at some point, and then it took us 3 years to go through this series.
Pretty much, and also because, like, it is widely regarded as his magnum opus, his kind of crown jewel in his career. I've been watching I watched all the rest of them chronologically, but I kind of wanted to save that one as being my final one. So yeah, super excited. I'm big. I didn't buy a £100 box set for nothing. Back in the day, it's he's an incredible filmmaker, and like, talk about yearning and gaze and all those sort of things. Like, he is the filmmaker that kind of transcends that genre. So yeah, super excited to watch that one for the first time.
And we're getting close. We're getting close to the end of the list now, guys. We're doing our best.
It'll be that Thanos at the end of Infinity War sitting down.
We reckon we'll have it done by the end of the year.
Yeah,
we're planning on it. Next episode, Chris. We have a very special returning guest.
Wow. Who?
I don't love to preempt these things before we've recorded it. But, if you were to go back through our episodes with guests, you may have heard one of our guests talk about this Ghibli film that we're going to be talking about. So, a little bit of homework for you there, guys. Go back for our episodes, and you can tell us who's appearing next week. For a very special episode of the Ghibli Angle. So
very nicely done, Alex. Very nicely done.
Thank you. Was that a nice little tease? You like that tease?
Yeah, and it was great because we listened, and they said it in passing in that episode, but we listened and we were like, and we saved this episode for that guest. So yeah.
We clocked it. So join us next week for that. A very exciting episode of the Ghibli Angle, and then we'll be back the week after with more film angle fun. It's all fun. It's all fun. Okay, it's all good fun.
Yeah, you're saying sometimes fun.
Sometimes fun. Sometimes.
Sometimes it is what it is.
It is what it is.
but the one constant thing is we are always trying.
Always. We're always trying our best. So, exciting things ahead, guys. That is not the only exciting thing coming up this year. We've got lots of exciting episodes ready to go.
Oh, yeah. So, Alex is full of ideas all the time.
150, baby. The first 150 episodes of the Film Angle.
I love the way you said the first. It's just like,
it's like,
oh, we've only done 150. It's just the beginning.
Tomorrow, 300.
It's it's like a 50-year-old man living in his mother's basement. I'm still young.
I can still do this.
Okay, so that has been the episode for this week. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating or review. We really do appreciate it. If you'd like to keep up to date with us, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Film Angle.
We also have a Film Angle playlist. If you want to listen to what we listen to, you can find that in the show notes. Be sure to catch us next week for more cinematic discussions. Goodbye.
Bye, Alex.
Bye-bye.